not sure. Oh, okay.
From the land to the sea, from the mountain to the shore, we hear your voice. In your pain, in your need, in defense, we are here to lead you forth. For the moments we love are the moments we share forevermore. And the freedom we give is our spirit.
We light the first candle as a symbol of our compassion and shine it on the billions of animals suffering every day in farms, slaughterhouses, laboratories, circuses, zoos, shelters, and other sites of animal oppression. May they be liberated soon.
Rise up to the love in our hearts. Rise up for the creatures. Make this moment last.
We light the second candle as a symbol of our compassion and shine it on all the animal activists who could not join us at this conference, including those languishing in prisons because of their overwhelming compassion for animals. May they be able to join us soon.
Our song begins. For the reasons are pure. If our kindness is sown in the wind.
We light the third candle as a symbol of our compassion and shine it on all the animal oppressors. May our relentless compassion, kindness, and struggle open their eyes, their mind, and their hearts to the moral repugnance of their actions so that they too may join us soon.
Rise up to the love in our hearts. Rise up for the creatures. Make this moment last.
We light the fourth candle in solidarity with all of the free and captive animals who are actively seeking their own liberation and fighting back against human encroachment on their habitats.
Rise up and heal them. Rise up and care for them. Rise up to the love in our hearts. Rise up for the creatures. Rise up and heal them. Rise up and care for them.
Welcome to the Animal Rights 2019 National Conference. We're so, yay! We're so happy to have all of you here with us. This is going to be an amazing, amazing weekend filled with education and inspiration. I'm Danni McGhee, your MC for the first part of this evening's program, and I am here local in the DC area. I'm a vegan chef and plant-based nutrition coach, and I am just super passionate about helping people make the transition to a plant-based diet. My brand is called Damn Good Vegan because my food is damn good. So, thank you, thank you. Thank you. So to kick off this evening, I'd like to introduce the person in charge of overseeing this entire event. She has been a part of the Animal Rights National Conference organizing team since 2005. As of last year, she stepped into a new leadership role position as conference chair. Please welcome Jen Riley.
Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you all here. I'm curious, how many people have been to the conference before? All right. And how many newcomers do we have? Oh, wow. Okay, well, let's welcome everybody. Wonderful. It's always great to see new faces, and I know that there's a lot going on this weekend, and when you checked in, so you should have gotten your tote bag and your program booklet here. There's lots of information in here. So I just want to let everybody know that even though it's a jam-packed weekend, the idea here is to connect with everybody and to really have fun, in addition to educating yourself and leaving feeling inspired. So obviously we have a lot going on, and tomorrow morning during the announcements I'll explain a little more if you're still kind of confused about the program. So you can come to the morning plenary and you'll get some more instruction there. But I do want to let you know that we have so much happening that the goal isn't to cram as much information into your brain as possible. The goal is to really make connections with people. And so you can always, if you miss sessions that you haven't, that you really wanted to see, we're going to have audio recordings of all of them, so you can purchase those afterwards. So I really want to emphasize, taking time for yourself and for others this weekend, and really making the most out of it. So the conference is really important to me. I've been involved, as Danny said, since 2005, and more recently moved into this leadership role. And the conference is really important for me because, in addition to the vision that animals have the right to be free from all forms of exploitation, my vision of the conference is to improve and strengthen the movement and really infuse healthy, positive values so that we can all become stronger voices when we're advocating. So, thank you. And I want to just say I couldn't do this without the help of many, many amazing people. This is a really big operation, but we have a small core of organizing team who works really hard ahead of time, and then we have a lot of people who jump on and join us a few weeks before and right on site. But very importantly, the dedication. We're a nonprofit, and we're not doing this for the money. So, but we definitely have people who put their entire worlds into this for many, many months out of the year. And I couldn't do this without the help of one specific person especially, who's been by my side working on the conference with me for 5-6 years now. And as I stepped into this position, I asked them to join me in kind of increasing their role. And I don't know if, they are in this room. Okay, good. I wasn't sure if they were here. So I just, really, this person started out as registrar and has just taken on program management with me this year and above and beyond. So they're basically involved in everything relating to the conference. And I would like to really give a warm round of applause to Ethan Eldrith. While he's right over there, if you want to wave, you'll see him around. He doesn't like to talk, or they don't like to talk. So we always joke because even though the official title is Director of Registration and Program Management, we joke that I'm the conference chair and Ethan is the conference table. That's our little inside joke there. But of course, it's not just the work of two people. It's so many other people, and I don't have time to list everybody, of course. And you'll see these people throughout the weekend, and you'll get to know them. And they're a really, really great team of people. One very important element of the conference is the food, of course. So we've worked really hard to bring you all some delicious food during your stay here. Delicious, all vegan food. And one of the people behind this whole food operation has also been with us for many, many years. She joined the team back when I first started. She's actually started before I did. I think she started in 2004, 2003. And she's just really amazing. And I do want to bring her up to say a few words about what kind of food donations you can expect throughout the weekend. We have a lot of great food samples and different things for you to try. So if Shamira Braha is in the room, is she here or did she not? Okay. She'll be coming in. I'll bring her up at the end. But I definitely wanted her to tell you a little bit about the food. And this evening's program, if you've been to the conference before, usually we just do a plenary and we have a networking event afterwards. This time we're breaking the plenary up into 2 different sections. So we have our first kind of welcoming here, and then we're going to break in the back of the room where they'll be setting up food samples for you. And you can network in here. Don't leave, just hang out, use the opportunity to network, and then come back to your seats, and we're going to have another really, really great program after that. So, moving along, I would like to say, again, as part of my leadership, it was really important for me to incorporate a lot of different views. Stepping into this position, I've talked to a lot of people about their vision, because I really view this as the movement's conference. And I really want to be able to implement as many positive values as we can into the operations of the conference and the messaging of the conference. And so this year it was really important for me to not make decisions exclusively on my own, but to share some of the decision-making responsibilities and consult with people about decisions. So I'm really pleased to announce this year, so this is new to this year, for the very first time we have a program advisory committee. And I was very, very honored to ask an amazing group of highly esteemed people within the movement to join me this year, and they've been really amazing in, being there for me and Ethan during the program construction, and it's just been such a huge help to have you all by my side. And so I'd like to bring them up to the stage. They're going to introduce themselves and say a few words so that you know who they are. And so we'll bring up Patrice, Indra, Uni, and sorry. And Erica. Okay, there's Erica. I was like, where's Erica? Come on up. All right. No, I believe Patrice was going to go first.
Oh, I have to go right away? Okay. Hi, I'm Patrice from Vine. Vine stands. Wait until you hear what I have to say. Vine stands for Veganism is the Next Evolution, but it also stands for Veganism is Not Enough. Vine is an LGBTQ-led farmed animal refuge that will be celebrating its 20th anniversary next year. More than 600 non-human animals live at our primary sanctuary in Vermont, and we also have a satellite refuge for roosters in Maryland. Now, as a feminist organization, we understand the truth of something called standpoint theory, which says that where people stand in terms of their physical location, in terms of their life history, in terms of their identity, determines what they are able to see. And that people are able to see different things about a problem from different standpoints and also recognize different avenues for intervention, And so it's super important to look at problems and to work on problems in conjunction with people at various standpoints. And so what we at Vine want to encourage you to do this weekend is to take advantage of how many different people from different standpoints other than your own are here at this conference this weekend. You're going to be surrounded by people who can see things that you can't see, who know things that you don't know, who might have ideas that you haven't had yet, and we really want you to take advantage of that. We want everybody, not just official speakers, to share ideas and successes, but we also hope that everybody will have the courage to share their failures and their questions, and that we will all work together to make it safe for people to do so. To do that, we'll have to set aside our own speciesism. We're going to need to set aside our human hubris, which suggests that people should or even could be the perfect hero for non-human animals, and instead focus on animals themselves as the leaders of the animal liberation movement. Now, me, coming from a sanctuary, whenever I go to an event like this, I keep one person from the sanctuary in my mind at all times. And today, that's going to be Victor, who is a co-founder of what's now Vine Sanctuary, along with me and Miriam Jones. He was a rooster who leapt to freedom from a truck headed for the slaughterhouse. He then, when he was still quite young himself, adopted younger birds who had fallen from a truck. In doing that, he taught me that all of the stereotypes about roosters were wrong, and that got me thinking about how our gender stereotypes are all mixed up with how we think about animals, and set me on a whole trajectory there, in addition to inspiring a sanctuary. So he's going to be in my mind, and what I'd like you to do right now is choose somebody who's going to be with you all weekend. Some specific particular animal you have known, who you will keep with you this weekend, and make sure you listen to that person more than you listen to me or anybody else. Thank you.
Welcome. Hello. It's so good to be here and see all of you. I'm Indra Lahiri, and I'm with Indraloka Animal Sanctuary, but who I am doesn't actually matter at all. I'm going to tell you who matters. Right over here is a picture of Penny Power, and she was one of the best friends, still is one of the best friends that I have ever had, and she's also somebody who taught me a great deal. I'm going to tell you more about Penny Power tomorrow, but for now, what I wanted to tell you is that Penny Power suffered terribly before she was rescued, unspeakably. Worse even than most cows suffer. Okay, so really badly. But when Penny got to Indraloka, she opened her hearts up. She was willing to love us humans that she had no reason to trust, no reason to love, but she did. And not only did she do that, but in her great compassion, Penny became truly the mother and the healer of the whole sanctuary. For every species, she would wander around and she would just find whoever needed some love. And whether that be a kitten that wandered onto the property, or a chicken who was just rescued, or a human who was suffering, Penny would share her love and share her compassion, and truly was an inspiration, and it is my inspiration. So I wanted to share a little bit about Penny's story, because she is the one that I'm going to keep in mind this weekend, along with many, many others that I miss terribly already. So this is what I hope for you for this conference. I hope that you learn lots of new ways to be even more effective for the animals. I hope that you get inspired to take care of yourself. Create a routine and be disciplined enough to do it every day. We are no good to the animals if we are unhealthy, if we are stressed out, or if we are overwrought. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about, because I make that mistake all the time. Celebrate each other, lift each other up. Okay? Instead of us all trying to tell each other what we've done and trying to impress each other with that, let's learn from each other and lift each other up, and let's celebrate the wonderful work that all of you are doing. Let's find lots of new ways to be kind. Let's look for them all weekend long, and let's use those ways to be kind after we leave the conference. Let's develop and strengthen a compassionate network of supportive colleagues. Apple. Happy birthday, Apple. Everybody, will you join me in saying happy birthday to Apple? Happy birthday! Apple just did what I'm asking you to do. She came running over to me and she gave me a huge hug and she introduced herself and she was so warm and she was so kind and I couldn't help but smile in her presence. And I want all of you to do that, okay? Now's not the time to be shy. Now's the time to get out there and get to know people and develop and strengthen your network. I want you to hear and learn from lots of different points of view. I'm going to be looking to do the same. The more points of view we have, the fuller our picture is. And take some time this weekend to identify some of your own blind spots. I'm doing the same. I can tell you I have plenty to choose from. Widen your horizons. The more points of view that we learn from, the fuller our understanding will be. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time at this conference. And let's hear it for compassion.
Hi, how's everyone doing tonight? All right, not bad, not bad. First night of the conference, a lot going on. My name is Erica Meyer. I am the president of Compassion Over Killing, and we are a national farm animal advocacy organization. We've been women-led since 2005, and we first formed in 1995 as an all-volunteer high school club and have grown into a national organization for farm animals. And I am really honored to be here tonight to speak on behalf of being a participant in the program committee. As Jen mentioned, this is the first time this program committee has existed, and it's been really insightful to be on this committee. I've been coming to this conference, I think my first one, not to date myself too much, but I think the first one was in 1997. And since I joined Compassion Over Killing in 2005, I've been coming every year since then. So this conference has really meant a lot for me. It's allowed me to meet so many new people and to hear new voices and to be engaged in activities and other forms of animal activism that our organization as a farm animal group is not always engaged in. And being part of this committee has really given me the inner workings, this insight to the inner workings of what it takes to put on the Animal Rights National Conference. And I have to tell you, it is a tremendous feat. And I want to just take a few moments quickly to give a huge round of applause and a great appreciation to Jen and Ethan for taking on this monstrous task. It's their time and their energy, the attention to detail, and their tireless efforts. That is what brought all of us here together today and throughout this weekend. And everyone here in this room tonight, we all have a lot in common. We all are here because we want to end animal exploitation and build a kinder world. Well, most of us. There probably are a few of you from the meat industry, and we do welcome you here too. But the commonality, that interest in ending animal exploitation that has brought us together, this unifies us, and that's what bonds us together. And there is strength in unity, but that's not where our strength as a movement comes from. Our strength as a movement comes from our differences. It comes from the diverse backgrounds, the diverse life experiences. It comes from the diverse personalities and interests, ideas and thoughts and genders and ages and languages that we speak. This is where our strength truly rests as a movement. And we need to embrace those differences. It's those individualities, those unique qualities about each and every one of us in the room here tonight that generates the creativity, the ingenuity, and the innovation that's going to keep our movement going forward. And as a movement, we have to continually reach out to larger audiences, to new audiences, to larger audiences, to empower others to stand up against the suffering that is happening to billions and billions of animals globally, and all too often this suffering takes place hidden behind locked doors. And it's the ability to move forward and create these new ideas that generate the concepts that's going to keep our movement fresh and young and adapting to the changes in our society. And we have seen a lot of really important changes happen in our society. But we have a long way to go as a movement to reach that ideal space of animal liberation. And there is no single cookie-cutter approach to achieving animal rights. And this is a really important concept to understand because this weekend, especially for those who are new to this conference and possibly to the movement, you're going to be exposed to a lot of different strategies and ideas and approaches. And it's up to you to decide what fits your interests, what fits your model of values, and to make those decisions where you can best engage to help animals. But it's the diverse strategies and approaches and those voices that are going to foster, that do foster the compassion we as a movement believe in, that's going to make the change for animals. And we may not agree on everything, and that's okay. Because if we didn't disagree from time to time, then we would never constructively challenge ourselves to evolve and to change and to bring in new ideas and to evaluate old strategies that may not be serving us as a movement anymore. So to truly be a movement, I just want to leave you with this idea, to truly be a movement, we have to move. And we have to embrace the differences that each and every single one of us brings to the table. So if there's anyone here today who is new to the conference, please feel empowered to meet new people. And if you've been here before and you're excited to see old friends, please take a minute to find someone new who you've never talked to before, or several people, and engage and embrace meeting new people and hearing new voices. Thank you all for coming tonight. It is an honor to be here.
Hello, my name is Uni Nambudripad. I am with Our Wellness and Liberation. We are a group that helps facilitate healing and wellness for animal activists to help build a more sustainable movement and a more compassionate movement. And first, I want to talk about an animal that's been on my mind recently. When I used to talk about how I got into animal rights and how I got involved, I told vague stories about books I read and people I met, and I never talked about an animal. And recently, it's come to my attention that it's really important for us to tell stories about animals. And this committee, we've talked about how do we center animals' lives? We're humans, and the movement is about animals. So this animal that I met when I was about 10 years old is a kitten named Bobby. And I met this kitten when I was visiting relatives in India. And I learned how important it was to be gentle and compassionate to animals through this kitten and through my relatives in India that guided me. And I realized that when people ask me now, so I've been telling people about Bobby. And when people ask me now, like, why do you care about animals, or what does it mean to be vegan, I start talking about Bobby, and people can relate to that, even a very simple story, because most people, especially companion animals, is something that people can easily relate to. And then when I go on further from that story, it's easier to connect with people. So it's an honor to be on this committee. I've been coming to conferences for the last 12 years. And it's been a really important place for me to both learn and teach about animal advocacy, but even more importantly, to connect with people in a really deep way that's both meaningful and fun, and also educational. So I hope that you have a similar experience at this conference and get to meet people and meet your peers and learn really deeply from them. Thank you so much.
Before we bring it back up, I just wanted to see if Shamira is, I see her back in the back of the room. Yeah, we definitely wanted to fill you all in on the food situation before the end of the evening, because like I said, we have a lot of great, amazing food donors that Shamira and her colleague Lisa has worked really hard to acquire for us. So I'd like to welcome Shamira Braha to the stage.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Would you like to talk about food? The hotel is offering meals during breakfast, lunch, and dinner hours, and it's in the program. And our conference staff have worked really diligently to help make these delicious and affordable for you. So we hope you'll partake of them while you're staying with us during the conference. In addition, our conference sponsors and generous food donors have provided complimentary snacks for you to enjoy at our free snack events, hosted each morning from 8 to 9 in the terrace room, which is where the lunch and dinners are served, and in the evening, with networking receptions taking place tonight, 8 to 9, in the back of the room, and 9:30 to 11 on Friday and Saturday, back in the terrace room, again, where lunches and dinners are served. And on Sunday, with food and entertainment at our celebration of animal rights, again in Plaza C. So, and also I want to mention, I'm sure they already have, Veg Fund is going to be hosting tomorrow night's networking reception, and you're all going to want to come. That's going to be in the terrace. It's not only food, but it's going to be music and cake. So enjoy the conference and the vegan food, and we hope you come away feeling that you've been fed body, mind, and soul. In the words of social activist and vegetarian Dorothy Day, food for the body is not enough. There must be food for the soul, and that's what this conference is really all about. Thank you.
Wow, all of those stories were so inspiring, so thank you so much for sharing that. And it made me think about my first time visiting a farm sanctuary, which was just this year. I went to Poplar Springs, and I fell in love. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I need to spend more time here. Just, I don't know, just open up my heart on another level of compassion. So, as you could probably imagine, an event like this couldn't happen without the support and generosity of many people. We are truly grateful for the support and partnership of our wonderful sponsors. We are honored to take a few minutes for our gold sponsors to join us on stage to share a few words. So now I invite our gold sponsor representatives from A Well-Fed World, Animal Equality, the Humane League, Compassion Over Killing, and Farm Animal Rights Movement.
Hi, I'm Dawn Moncrief, and I am very happy to be sponsoring for A Well-Fed World, and it's fantastic to see so many folks here. So this is the opening night, so you all are hardcore, and it's great that you're here early, and I hope you can stay the full time. I used to help organize this conference, so I'm going to reiterate what Jen said about it's very exciting to be here and try to do everything, but don't try to do everything. So even if you've got your schedule and it's all marked up, if you end up having to take a break here and there, it's okay, it's for the good, and you'll be able to interact with people, so it's okay to skip. And also, as a former organizer, I'm going to say, with the exhibits, to go often, go early, and if you are somebody who doesn't like to purchase or be part of the commercial industry, it's okay here. So shop early, shop often. So A Well-Fed World, this is our 10th year, and we are a vegan hunger relief and environmental organization, and also we work on the animal protection. So we work at the nexus of global hunger, climate change in particular, but environment more generally, and animals. And if you are looking for vegan food programs to support instead of Heifer International, if you want to know why Heifer International is bad, and not just kind of intuitively, but oh, they help feed people, so isn't it something to choose between animals and people? I used to think like that too. A lot of people think that giving animals as hunger relief in low-income countries is okay, because why would you tell people what they can't eat animals, even if we personally choose that? And we're not telling them what to eat, but we're also not centering meat and farmed animals, and we don't have to sacrifice animals. It actually makes it better to have plant-based. And so that's when I realized that those connections, that our meat consumption especially in the US and high-income countries and high-consuming countries, actually contributes to world hunger, that it totally shifted my thinking. I was like, everything finally makes sense. We don't have to sacrifice animals to help humans. It's the same consumption patterns actually help the environment, help humans, help animals. And so instead of working at the World Bank, I shifted 180 and started working for the animals and people together, as well as the environment. So originally the environment was kind of third, but now with climate change, it's kind of moved into second place, but it's always to help animals, it's always to help people. And so now we are in the process of rebranding to plant-based hunger and climate solutions, because we don't have time, because climate impacts hunger, it's a hunger multiplier, it impacts animals of all kinds, ecosystems, farmed animals, and so we don't have time to wait. And for those of you who know people who care about the climate issues, this may be a way in for plant-based solutions, and so we can really leverage that. And we have handouts at our table. We are, right as you come off the elevator, we have 3 tables and a big banner, and we've got lots of handouts that look this very easy to hand out. We will give them to you for free. We have them against grazing. If you want to know why grazing is bad, a lot of environmentalists will tell you that it's not. We have it against humane labels. We tell you the loopholes, and Heifer International. We have a program called Plants for Hunger, so that you can, it's a great gift to give and receive, and you don't have to sacrifice animals again to help with hunger. And just briefly, because now I'm getting on a roll a little bit. We have our partners here from Ethiopia this year. Dr. Antena Roba is here, and he's going to be speaking about factory farming in Africa and the ways in which it's environmental racism and the impact on animals and humans. His session is at 3:15 on Sunday. It's in the program. We have an ad. We have a full-page ad too. You can learn more about us. So if you care about hunger, climate, and the animal connections, visit us. And I just want to say this is my 20th year here. My 20th conference is this year. I've been every year since 2001. And when I was doing this, nobody else was talking about the hunger and meat issue until I came to the conference. And I saw Patrice speak at a plenary, and it blew my mind. And she was working with farm, and so I got to be in with them. And then the next year I quit my job working at a women in development organization so I could work with the animals and bring the women and the hunger and the environment and animals. Everything finally fit together. Everything seems to have like a trade-off. Well, it's this or that, and I always think about the things, but it's like everything fits together. There's no reason not to be vegan. No reason not to be vegan, theoretically, right? So sometimes there's things that happen. No, but I just mean theoretically it's perfect. Now, but in real life, some things sometimes happen, but theoretically it's perfect, and then the little glitches that we do have will work to overcome that. And so thank you all for being here. And also, you'll get really excited, and it's going to be so great to be in this bubble, and when you go home, you're going to drop. Be prepared for the drop. Give yourself a couple extra days, stock up on vegan ice cream, it's going to be happening, but then come back next year and you'll be double good. So this is the book. It's a massive book, Africa and Her Animals by Dr. Antena Roba. He's the editor, and he's also got the factory farming thing. It's normally $40. We're going to have it half price so that we can get it to people. And if you need it and you don't even have $20, let us know. We want this information out there for people who really care about it and can use it. And again, Dawn Moncrief, A Well-Fed World, thank you all so much.
Hello, good evening. My name is William, and I'm speaking on behalf of Animal Equality, and it's my privilege to speak on behalf of my organization. I'm going to start off with a story. 10,000 calves, 10,000. Some newly born, some only weeks old. All of them were separated from their mothers. All of them were forced to live outside and exposed to the bitter, cold Nebraska winter that often reached negative double-digit frigid temperatures. Some of these calves froze to death, dying in pain and in agony, all because of the dairy industry. This is what animal equality investigators found when we investigated Summit Calf Ranch. Animal equality's investigators go inside of these hellish facilities to shine a light into the darkness exposing the awful cruelty inherent in animal agriculture. Investigations are the most powerful tool we have to expose the cruel and abusive treatment of animals inside the secretive world of industrial animal agriculture. I'm proud to say that Animal Equality has presented 21 investigations in 2018, and we've presented 8 investigations this year alone. Our investigative footage makes a profound impact for animals. It encourages consumers to make more informed decisions each time they choose what to eat. Is there anyone here that has stopped eating animals because of an investigation? There's your proof. Our investigative footage also persuades policymakers to make meaningful changes for animals. Take Jalisco, Mexico, for example, where our extensive undercover investigations into more than 20 slaughterhouses in Jalisco, Mexico, which is the largest animal agriculture state in Mexico, resulted in us obtaining brutal conditions. The footage is horrendous. But because of our investigative footage, the legislature of Jalisco overwhelmingly approved a landmark reform to their penal code, and for the first time in the history of Mexico, cruelty to farmed animals is now considered a criminal offense. This substantial change will directly affect more than 210 animals a year in the state of Jalisco alone. Our investigative footage also encourages companies, large and small, to implement meaningful animal protections that will significantly reduce the suffering of animals by ending some of the cruelest standard practices on factory farms and slaughterhouses. Policies like Mercadona, one of the largest supermarkets in Spain, eliminating cages and sparing more than 5 million hens per year from living confined in a wire cage. To date, we have won more than 120 policies that impact more than 40 million hens. We are Animal Equality. We work in 8 countries: Mexico, India, Brazil, Spain, Italy, Germany, the US, and the UK. I encourage everyone to stop by our booth this weekend and talk to us and say hello. Tell us your story. We're so proud to be a gold sponsor of the Animal Rights Conference and hope that everyone here has a fantastic time this weekend. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for helping create a better world for animals.
Good evening. I'm Jennifer Barkley, and I'm standing here so you can actually see me and so I can see you. I am the Vice President of Communications with the Humane League, and I've been sitting here looking around the room at each and every one of you, and I am completely blown away because, as I hope you all recognize, you are the compassionate warriors who see courage where there are cages, you see freedom where there are walls, and you see equality where there is injustice in our world. And not only that, but you don't see animals as ours to be used, but rather as friends, worthy of love and care. And I truly believe that you are the change makers who will transform the future lives of billions of animals. Now, we certainly know that this is not going to be an easy journey, but I think we can all agree that this is a journey very worth fighting for and well worth the journey that it's going to take and the time that it's going to take. So I suggest that we start this conference by simply celebrating together all that we've already been able to achieve, the factory farm walls that many of you have helped to break down, the hearts that you've mended in animals and humans alike. So I invite you to join me in standing up. If you can rise from your seats, get moving a little bit. Turn to someone next to you. You can pick right, left, in front, behind. Look each other in the eyes. You're going to get to know each other this weekend. Smile. And give each other the most momentous high five you've ever given anyone. Amazing. Okay, you're not done yet. You're not done yet. We're going to step it up a notch because I know if anyone can step it up a notch, it's you. So now, please give your neighbor, maybe you can spread out for this, you might need some space, not just a high five, but a high 10. If you haven't done that before, it's a high five with both hands. Now that is the power and the energy that we're looking for, and then some. You can keep on standing or sit down. Up to you. Feel free to stand if you're so energized now that you can't sit. Thank you. Thanks for bringing the energy up and making sure that we have an awesome start together to this conference. And that is the spirit that I encourage each of you to carry forward over the next 3 days that we get to be together and well beyond. You know, to me, one of the great things about this conference is that it brings together, as Erica said, so many different people from all types of activism and organizations. So whether you're just starting out or you're an AR veteran or you are involved in outreach or corporate campaigning or vigils or investigations, we are all here working together towards a shared mission, and it's going to take all of us together to end the abuse of animals being raised for food and to ultimately stop this horrible suffering that's happening in the world and to free animals from that life of suffering. So with this collaborative spirit in mind, I invite you to join the Humane League, Mercy for Animals, Compassion Over Killing, and Animal Equality at a peaceful protest this Sunday at 7:15 p.m. There will be information about this throughout the conference, so you don't have to take notes, to make sure that McDonald's actually hears the message, that it is time for them to stop the terrible treatment of chickens, to care about the treatment of chickens, and to ultimately end this horrible suffering. So I can't wait to personally see you there this Sunday, to meet you over the course of this weekend. And on behalf of our entire team at the Humane League, thank you for being here and thank you for taking a stand together for the animals.
Don't worry, I'm not going to make you stand. So I'm Mike Wolf. I'm the Director of Investigations for Compassion Over Killing. I've been with COK since 2014, and before that, spent a number of years working in the field myself. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your support. If you want to hear a little bit about our investigations, feel free to come to my talk on Sunday. In the meantime, please do stop by our table. You can fill out a thank you card for our investigators. I'll send them out to them while they are out in the field right now. It proves to be pretty motivational for them. It is a very difficult job, as you can imagine. If I had to boil it all down to one word, it would have to be overwhelming. And it does get the best of people sometimes. So all of your support, be it thank you cards, donations, sharing our videos, spreading the message, spreading the message, anything you can do, we'd very much appreciate it. And I also just kind of wanted to piggyback on, I think it was Patrice who was saying before about just keeping in mind a certain animal. That actually hit me pretty close to home. And if you come to my talk on Sunday, you'll hear this, but the reason I am here is because of my soul dog, Curly. He died in 2005, and that kind of led me down the path. I also, my soul cat, Molly, has had a large impact on me as well. So I think it's important for everyone to kind of share those stories. I'm sure everybody here can relate to that and connect with that, outside of the meat industry, executives, of course. But if you can relate to that, when you go back to your lives and you're talking to people who are not veg and you're trying to help them understand, drawing that connection between dogs and cats and cows and pigs and chickens, there's really no difference. Everybody here knows that, but the average person really doesn't. And it's really nothing more than a stereotype or whatever you want to call it, that certain animals are cute and cuddly and certain aren't. And to us they all are, but to other people they're not. So please do keep those animals in mind, share those stories with people, and like I said, stop by our booth. You can talk to whoever's there, fill out a card, do whatever you need to do there, and then come see my talk on Sunday. Thank you so much.
Sponsor, and they'll be sharing a few words tomorrow at their event, so make sure you come back for that tomorrow evening. All right, so now I'm going to introduce Mark Hawthorne. He is an activist and the author of 3 books on animal rights and social justice. A Vegan Ethic, Embracing a Life of Compassion Towards All, Bleeding Hearts, The Hidden World of Animal Suffering, and the bestseller, Striking at the Roots, A Practical Guide to Animal Activism, which has now just been updated as a 10th anniversary edition. Mark is a frequent contributor to Veg News Magazine, and he volunteers with the vegan food justice group Food Empowerment Project. You'll find him blogging about activism at markhawthorne.com and tweeting at Mark Hawthorne, so be sure to follow him there. So Mark, we are ready for you.
Thank you, Danny, and good evening, everyone. It's great to see so many familiar faces and so many new ones. Speaking of faces, this is my friend Emmeline. A few years ago, she was rescued from a meat farm near where I live in California, and she is now a much-loved and much spoiled house rabbit. I have been asked to speak about what we in the movement mean when we use the term animal rights. It's the first 2 words in the title of the conference, so clearly they're important. The idea of advocating for animals is certainly nothing new. The 3 of our oldest religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism, teach ahimsa, the principle of not causing harm to another living being. And of course, our old friend Pythagoras was probably the first of the Greco-Roman philosophers to speak out against eating animals, and he did so in part because he believed animals have souls. Here's a fun fact related to Pythagoras. Before the word vegetarian was coined in 1847, people who didn't eat animals were often called Pythagoreans. What is new is the idea of granting rights to animals. To say they have the right to be treated with respect as individuals with inherent value, like Sharky here, who was rescued from a cockfighting ring and now lives peacefully at Vine Sanctuary in Vermont. Like Sharky, every animal is someone, not something, and they have a right to live free from humans inflicting pain and suffering on them. To deny that is to be guilty of speciesism, which is discrimination based on species. Well, the animal rights philosophy does not put animals above humans, but gives them equal consideration. And this equal consideration means that we should grant animals the right not to be treated as objects. The same right we grant humans, well, at least in principle. So how did we get here? How did we go from ahimsa to speciesism? Although it's tempting to think of the animal rights movement as, well, an entirely recent development, headlined by nonprofit organizations that have been created in the last few decades, our struggle is built on a foundation that our predecessors struggled for around the world. Abu Allah al-Mari, for example, was a Syrian poet-philosopher who agitated against the consumption of meat, dairy, eggs, and honey on ethical grounds 1,000 years ago. Beginning in 675, Japan had a on-again, off-again ban on eating animals for centuries, primarily for religious reasons. More recently, a little bit, William Wilberforce is probably best known for his campaign against slavery in England, but he was also one of the founders of the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. Frances Power Cobb fought for women's suffrage, and she also founded both the British Union for the Abolition of Vivisection and the National Anti-Vivisection Society. Another suffragist, Lizzie Lindoff Agaby, was a very vocal critic of war, prisons, and animal experimentation. And she and a friend enrolled in a medical school in London so that they could witness firsthand how animals were being treated in experiments. After they reported seeing a dog suffer multiple experiments without anesthesia, which was illegal, it resulted in a political controversy known as the Brown Dog Affair, which put even a bigger spotlight on vivisection. And here in the US, Henry Bergh was the founder of the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. And these are just very few examples to show you. Now, what most of our predecessors were focused on was animal welfare. In contrast to the animal rights philosophy, which seeks liberation for animals, proponents of animal welfare feel that it is acceptable to use animals provided those animals are treated humanely. One way of looking at it is that the advocate of animal rights wants to end exploitation, whereas the proponent of animal welfare is okay with it, but just wants to feel less guilty. Now, much of the progress made during the humane movement of the 19th century was lost after World War I, when more and more people began using animals for food, biomedical research, and animal testing. After World War II, people began moving from farms into cities. People began living with companion animals more, helped by the invention of cat litter in 1947, by the way, which brought cats indoors. And there was a gradual movement toward embracing the concept of animal rights. In 1959, Helen Jones founded what would become the International Society for Animal Rights, which was probably the first organization in the world to express in its name the concept of animal rights. One of the major points at which our movement turned closer to animal rights occurred in 1965, when the novelist and social critic Bridget Brophy published her essay, The Rights of Animals, in the Sunday Times. Her essay inspired numerous ethicists and activists to write books and to create new campaigns and organizations dedicated to animal liberation. Of course, today there are many, many animal rights organizations around the world, and just a few of them are represented here at the conference. Now, one of the biggest hurdles to giving animals rights is they're considered property. This is a legal status that does everything to ensure that the rights of the animal's owner are protected and next to nothing to protect the animal. Excuse me. Instead, the law presumes that owners of animals used for food and clothing and entertainment and so on will feel that it is in their economic interest to provide for their animals' welfare. Well, you don't have to be in this movement very long before you realize this is ridiculous, and animal enterprises are constantly getting away with abusing their animals. In fact, many states in this country have what are called common farming exemptions, and this basically allows even the most egregious cruelty to farmed animals to occur, provided it is a common practice, such as castration without pain relief or suffocating hens whose egg production has declined. Activists are working hard to change this, of course, and get courts to recognize animals as individuals, not property. In fact, the area of animal law is one of the fastest growing sectors in the animal rights movement. Well, having defined what we mean by animal rights, I have two related topics to briefly address. The first has to do with how we speak up for animals. And we're all here to learn how to become better advocates for animals. And I believe it's important that we not think of them as voiceless. For instance, cows moo, pigs squeal, elephants trumpet, badgers growl, dogs bark and howl, chickens cluck, cats meow and hiss, deer bellow, tigers roar, mice squeak, goats bleat, and I hope you live your entire life without ever hearing a rabbit scream. Animals may not be heard. They may not be able to always act as agents of change on their own behalf, but they are not voiceless. They are constantly communicating their pain and fear when they are being abused. So let's be better allies for these animals and recognize when they are voicing their preferences, because characterizing them as voiceless perpetuates the false premise that they are mindless objects without desires of their own. This is not my idea, by the way. Women in the movement have been saying this for many years. Secondly, I am a white man. And as a white man, I have a lot of unearned privilege. For example, it's very unlikely somebody's going to come onto the stage and take away my microphone. With my privilege comes responsibility, I believe, and that includes amplifying the voices of others and speaking out for marginalized groups. With that in mind, I'll say a few things about sexual harassment. Sexual harassment occurs everywhere, but within the animal rights movement, it is especially pervasive, in part because there are so many more women than men, and also in part because of the higher status men seem to have, largely due to patriarchy and the idea that male leadership gives an organization more credibility. And so it's to the men in this room that I address these comments. If you truly respect women and value them as colleagues, please be a strong ally. Believe them when they tell you they have been harassed or assaulted. Ask what you can do to support them. Do not tolerate sexist jokes or campaigns. Respect women's boundaries. And don't normalize the behavior of abusers by making excuses for them or giving them a platform. Remember that you are fighting injustice, so campaigning against one form of domination while allowing or participating in another perpetuates systemic oppression. Women drop out of the movement because of this. And needless to say, this is also a subject that women have been talking about, not only in the animal rights movement, but around the world. And I highly recommend you read the blogs of Carol Adams, Patrice Jones, and Lauren Ornelas. They have been talking about this and writing about this for a long time, and I think you'll find their blogs to be very enlightening, and so I hope you'll check it out. I thank you very much for your time and attention. I know this was a lot to cover in a short period of time. If you have any questions, I'll be at the Food Empowerment Project table throughout the conference, or you can contact me on social media. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That was great. So let's give him another round of applause. All right, and I'd also like for you all to give another round of applause to every speaker that came on stage and shared their stories. All right, so now it is break time and it's time to get some snacks. So I definitely encourage everyone to stay in the room, get some snacks in the back, and we're going to be coming back with a new MC, Jane Velez Mitchell. She'll be emceeing the second half, and you also don't want to miss the screening of Countdown to Year Zero. So be sure to come back for that. And I thank you all for allowing me to be your MC for the first half of this. I appreciate you all, and thank you. And I'm super excited about the Animal Rights 2019 National Conference. Thank you.